Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whether or not you drink your coffee black, with cream, with sugar, with some of that flavored garbage, you know where I stand. Welcome
Let's
back
just tell
to
us
the
how you.
KWD
Let's
podcast.
just tell us how you feel, Josh. No,
I got to be honest. I've been drinking it with a turmeric MCT powder. So
really,
yeah. So people just listening can't hear. But Kelvin, is my tongue yellow at all, or?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So
it is. Shall I do a screenshot of that so people can see that? No, let's not do that.
No, I'll just link to the product in the show notes.
Link to the product.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it's all in my brain, but I feel like my joints are doing all right despite being old and doing all this running, and my brain's working despite the world.
Something to be said for that.
Yeah, those are two things that supposedly turmeric and MCT are supposed to help with. So it gives me this nice rich feeling in my throat so that I can just spend half the podcast hacking away.
There you go.
I usually only put it in 1 cup of coffee a day, but today put it in both cups of coffee I've had. So,
okay, so
I got a nice.
Good for you.
I got a nice happy belly.
There you go.
Kevin, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastically, sir. Life's good. I'm awake. I keep waking up every day. I keep being happy every day. The world's still here every day, and I don't really have nothing to complain. Well, I mean, I suppose if I wanted to, I could complain about the 90+ degree temperatures that come through. But being as I'm here to actually experience that, could be way worse. So it's all right.
That and you get air conditioning in the house, so
well, strangely enough, most of the time I just use this nice fan back here because I don't need the air to be cold. Mostly I need it to be moving.
Gotcha.
So that's a good thing. So, and when it does cool up a little bit, I can open windows and let some stuff through and just kind of enjoy life, man. I've gotten into I did some yard work the other day, which, that's really my strong point. But every once in a while, I get fascinated by what nature does in the backyard. When it rains and the birds show up en masse, and they're like cleaning up the bugs that were getting in my way when I was cutting up the grass. And every once in a while, I just start to watch what's going on in the nature space, and it's like, it's pretty interesting stuff. Watching some of those animals who just are doing what animals do. And I mean, they're doing okay because the woodchuck seems to have stopped visiting me. So I don't know if that's good news or. But life is good, man. I'm having a good time and I'm enjoying breathing and being on the planet.
Good stuff.
How about you?
Things are good. I don't know if you can hear that screaming baby in the background, but that has become a staple in our lives recently. Over the last year and a half, that baby's been crying. But
but we were having a good conversation earlier today.
Yeah, it's true. You were. She's getting her 2-year molars, and early, of course. But yeah, she's been in some discomfort, and it often hits in the middle of the night. Last night it was about 4:00, and so her mom got up with her about 4:15, and after about an hour, I got up and said, "Hey, honey, you go to bed." And I tried to get the little one back to sleep, and eventually I gave her some medicine, and she passed out, but she seems to be unhappy again.
I see.
So, well, it is what it is. That's what toddlers.
She'll be all right.
That's what toddlers do. Should be fine.
She comes from good stock. What can I say?
Thank you. Well, one thing that I've been enjoying these days is Vitamin K Daily. I wake up and it's sitting there in my inbox every morning, like clockwork. Says it came in at 3:30, and I'll just have to believe it because I was asleep. Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, philosophical supplements for my attitude health and for yours as well. If you sign up at vitaminkdaily.com, get yourself 4 weeks free, your daily dose of positive from the Prince of Positive himself, Kelvin Ringgold.
It is I.
It is. You don't like it, unsubscribe anytime. If you do like it, after your 4 weeks, pay just $24.95 a year. It's 9.5 cents a day. Billed annually, because if you paid 9.5 cents a day, it would be too expensive to bother processing your payment after a while.
Facebook wouldn't like that. Not Facebook. PayPal, those guys, yeah.
VitaminKDaily.com. Let's do the music.
Josh and Kelvin World Domination Podcast, where we talk about better humanhood and teach you how to dominate your world. You ready? Here we go.
There's a scene in the movie Goodfellas where a bunch of the mobsters go to jail and they get treated well in prison. They have access to a nice kitchen, and somehow they manage to import nice meats and veggies and occasionally some lobster. but they talk about cooking, and one of the things they do is they shave the garlic with a razor. They slice the garlic with a razor so that they get it really thin. It melts into the oil, and it just sets the flavor up for you.
Mm.
And I was thinking about details. We don't think about so often. We just, okay, this has got to get done. Let's get it done. But every now and then, pay attention to the details, because they really make the thing.
Mm.
We were talking earlier about my cheat day breakfast this morning. I'm only eating potatoes, starches, like once a week. And I noticed we had some potatoes in the house, and I noticed the other day, I'm like, oh, well, that's going to be cheat day breakfast. And there are really two ways to make breakfast potatoes, and one of those ways is home fries, where you cut them in chunks and you fry them up. The other way is hash browns, which I prefer, but they're kind of a pain in the bottom they're a pain in the neck to cut up, because you're not cutting them in chunks, you're cutting them in tiny little slices. But I decided this morning, hey, you know what? Look, this is the way I prefer them. I don't get them that often. Let me put the time in. Let me put the effort in. Let me pay attention to that detail. And so I took, 15, 20 minutes to cut up 3 potatoes. It's a long time. It gave me enough time to listen to an Intensely Positive podcast that came out last week. And when I had them all made, my wife asked if I had used prepared hash browns, if I had gotten them out of a bag. And some people might take offense to that, but I understood what she meant. and that she's like, wow, these are so well prepared that it looks like a machine could have done it.
Mm.
And it was that attention to detail that I gave it that I think it made me remember details. And I think there are so many places in our lives where we could be paying attention to the details.
Yes, there are. I will admit, I haven't done the hash brown thing. Mine comes in when we're like doing, I'm a breakfast guy too. I like bacon. I like crispy bacon for my breakfast. And there's something about taking that bacon slice by slice and putting it in the pan so it just crisps just wonderfully. Doing that, and you have to pay attention to bacon because it needs to be just the right crispy, because I do not like limp bacon. Just not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference between just perfect and black charcoal is only about 30 seconds if you don't pay attention to what you're doing. So I don't do it very often because I don't always want to take that kind of care. But when I do, it's wonderful. And it's strangely one of my joys and things is cooking breakfast. And then the other one is, of course, I like, cheese and eggs and my cheese eggs. And so I do that kind of thing. So that could be the only breakfast I have forever for the most part.
And this doesn't have to apply.
I like putting time in that. So
yeah, this doesn't have to apply only to food too.
No.
It's taking a little extra time and putting attention into a handwritten thank you note instead of an email.
True enough.
It's calling somebody on their birthday instead of texting them. Yeah, it doesn't take that much longer, but it can be an important detail.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna get dressed. I spend most of my life in t-shirts and gym shorts, but when it's time for lodge, I'm in a tux. It's those details.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm in the tux, I'm in the tux. I'm not rolling up my sleeves, and I'm not.
Right.
Shirt's not hanging out.
People do that? Come on, really? Seriously? Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I do that. Well, you talk about the handwritten letter thing. I probably haven't written my sister, pick one, for years. And a couple of weeks ago, I sent her a note because she had I had a mask I had to return that I stole from her. I mean, that I borrowed from her daughter. And I was about to put this mask in the bag in the envelope. And I said, it just seems kind of pointless to just put it in the envelope and just mail this thing. So I did take the time to actually handwrite a letter to her, like 3 pages worth. Now, do you write cursive? They don't teach that in school anymore. But I write cursive, and mm-hmm. My mother had beautiful handwriting, and I used to practice writing like her for hours and hours.
Oh, very nice.
Got to the point where she could forge my checks because mine looked like hers. But I sat down and took the time to do that, and it's like, man, I haven't actually done this for so long. Strangely enough, I didn't forget how. So when my sister finally opened the package, because she thought it was just a mask, she got this surprise of like, wow, Kelvin took the time
mm-hmm.
to actually write me a letter. And I still hate him because his handwriting's better than mine. That was just a side benefit.
Well, I got to tell you, my handwriting is terrible.
Yeah.
Penmanship used to keep me off the honor roll in middle school.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I was one of those straight A's and a D guys.
Oh, wow.
But and then I worked at a bank where they made me sign my name 50 times a day, so it just got worse. But yeah, so I try now. I try to take the time and make my cursive legible. And
yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, it helps if I'm using the fancy pen and the drawn ink. Because
you like that? Oh yeah, that's fine.
That's that takes some work. It takes some thought just to write with it. It takes some concentration just to write with it. Yeah.
Yep. I haven't had a fountain pen in so long. You're making me think I want to go try it again. We could do a personalized Declaration of Independence for ourselves.
We could.
And write it with a fountain pen and ink. We should probably write it out longhand first so we know what we're going to say so we don't have to mess up all that paper. But
yeah,
there's something. And, if you do something like that for yourself, that means something. When you look at it, there's a lot to that. The time you took to think, the time you took to detail out what you're doing. A few years ago, Burchard wrote a book, our Declaration of Independence. He took Motivation Manifesto was the name of that book for him. And that book was written in the form of the Declaration of Independence. And there were a number of chapters and, so they were the articles of your Declaration of Independence. A good book worth. It turned out to be a really huge seller, but it's in the vernacular of putting together a Declaration of Independence. Cool thing. Very cool thing. So stuff means to you more when you put it in forms like that. And I think the brain knows when you actually put effort into something.
Yeah, for sure.
Places more effort on it. So
yeah, well, where you took shortcuts.
Beg your pardon?
Where you took shortcuts.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, even if you don't consider them shortcuts. This is one of the things we kind of got into with Nick Velasquez a couple of weeks ago. About focus and mastery. And it's one thing to sit down and play guitar and learn 4 chords and just play those 4 chords in the same 50 songs you always play. It's another thing to actually practice and get better and stretch your skills and all that. And they're both okay, but they're 2 different things.
Absolutely. You can apply it to so many areas. I'm gonna throw my baby boy under the bus here. I used to be married, you probably know that. Anyway, when he was my ex, she wasn't my ex at the time, but when she would do Christmas presents, right, she would wrap them in such a way that you really didn't want to open them because you didn't want to destroy this masterpiece
so beautiful.
Writing.
Yeah.
It was painful. And my kid would go to wrap up a gift for her, and he'd just kind of bunch it up on a corner and throw a rubber band around it and do that. And I'm like, dude, he was very young at the time. I said, she takes so much love and care when she wraps a gift for you. Sometimes when we give things, we need to consider the care or the priority the other person would have put in it and kind of give them back a little of what they gave us. And and make that better. Of course, she loved whatever it was anyway, but just because it came from him, man, if she'd taken some time, if you'd taken some time to just wrap it a little bit better. So when I tried to give a gift, I tried to wrap it. It wasn't near as good as what she did, but and I only cut myself once trying to do it just perfect with that razor blade and the tape. But the care you give to something counts for people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely
counts for people. So I don't know. It's a we can call it detail. We can call it attention. We can call it focus. You can call it a lot of things. But when you take the time, and conversely for ourselves, when we actually take the time to do something intentionally for ourselves, is different than just throwing it up on there, because there's a message that goes back to the brain, of what value this had. I think what value this had. So, and that ties into other things we do for us when we're on our our exercise program, when we're on our reading program. What is it? What kind of time are we actually taking with that? The mind knows if we're putting any actual care into that. And I think that is a part of how our progress goes. So anyway, I didn't mean to go off on that, but it is a fact that I've had to realize over time. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's just taking the time to put in a little effort beyond here it is.
Yeah. And you probably have almost real-time feedback in this. Is you send out a daily newsletter every day. And we talked about it at the top of the show by McCabe Daily. And there are some nights when you sit down and you put a couple hours into tomorrow mornings, and there are some nights when you sit down and you're like, oh no, I got to get this together. A little behind. And
those are different nights
for you. It probably shows you look at it when it comes. You go to bed, you wake up, and you open it to see that the right one went out. Mm-hmm. I bet you read it and you can tell, right? Like exactly how much you put into it and whether it was one of those, and you can tell by the feedback you get. People Absolutely. Do write you back, and that if you put a lot of time and a lot of effort in, that you get good, detailed feedback from it.
I do. And those are the days when I know I did it right.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, well, I don't know. That's probably why I'm still writing it after almost 10 years. Mm-hmm. Because it really doesn't take a lot for me. I mean, somebody sends me one message that says, God, I needed to hear that today. I'm like, okay, so we got the next year covered. I'm going to be writing them again because we're going to make that happen. And so it's, that's my motivation for that. That's kept me doing that for 10 years. So when I put this book together and I've got the best of those 10 years, well, actually, that'd be a big book. I think we'll have to break that into several books, but the first one's going to be some good ones, the best of. And, it's weird because I've been doing it for 10 years and I have every one I've written. I mean, they're still on my computer. They go to my email. They're still in my email, so I can go to my email and pull them each up. And I have the comments that people have written me about them, so I can go through my notes to say, yeah, this is a keeper. Yeah, this is a keeper. And I got a couple of people who call me and call me or email me and go, that's a keeper. And I'm like, okay, that's going into that folder. I know that's going to be something good. So, we're looking forward to that in the Christmas season. So, yeah, details.
I think they're important. That's why we're talking about them. And they help lead us to our best work and our best selves. Thank you all for being here. VitaminKDaily.com for your 4 weeks free. JKWDpodcast.com for show notes for this and all our other episodes. Happy episode 220. That's where we are. Holy crow, that's a lot. 220 straight weeks we've done this.
Yes, sir.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Show notes and more at jkwdpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends, and we will see you next week. Bye!
A Better Humanhood production.